seemed more idyllic than living and working in a grist mill in the countryside. I had taken a job there at the University of Delaware as an assistant professor of art and thought country living would be fabulous. But after slugging it out with 80+ bats, I knew I had to move to a city, New York City. My one-room apartment was rent-stabilized and roach-infested, but I could not have been happier. I discovered these free newspaper boxes on almost every corner in New York City. They were terrible eyesores, but they offered free reading for my commute back and forth to Delaware. And the thing I loved the most about these newspapers were the personal ads. So let me stop here, because a high school student told me this week that her age group didn't know what these were. So let me explain. So if you were looking for a date, a hookup, or a long-term relationship, LTR, then you would place an ad in the personal ads, and you would describe what you looked like and what you were looking for in a relationship. And then if you were interested in that person, you would call the number at the bottom of the ad and leave a voicemail saying why you thought you were the perfect match. It was basically like an analog Tinder. No photos. So imagine, this is the year 2000. There is no way to look up these people. You have no idea what they look like. Facebook didn't exist. Snapchat, Instagram, none of it. Google existed, but it was only 2 years old. And the depth of the database was so shallow that you couldn't look up an everyday person. So you were left to imagine and even trust that the way these people described themselves was true. And that's what intrigued me, the imagining, the guessing, and the hoping. And so I decided to base my new body of artwork on this, and I called it the personal ads. I decided to place my ad in the year 2000 under Women Seeking Men, and I based my ad on the book and the movie The Princess Bride. It sounds like you guys know it. Okay. It's a parody of the fairy tale romance, but it has the same format of the woman saving the man saving the woman, from evil captors. And I wanted to choose this because I wanted to create a framework in which these men could understand the relationship I was kind of looking for. So Princess Buttercup and Wesley are the main characters. And besides, who wouldn't want to look like this woman? So I was happy to pretend to be Princess Buttercup. So my ad read, "Be my hero. Princess Buttercup seeking her Wesley. I too have long golden hair and have been captured by too many men. Be my hero and save me from this fate." So I was never going to meet these men. So we were free to imagine what the other would look like. To these men, I was the princess bride. And to me, these men were, I would find out. So 14 men called in for my ad and left voice messages. And I took a computer software program that law enforcement officials use when an offender comes in to sketch them. So it has a database of hats, scars, facial hair, eyes, nose, lips, everything you can imagine. So what I did is I took their recordings to a mastering studio, and I sat there and I listened. And as they were describing themselves in the voicemail, I started drawing them. And I drew them with this computer program. So I'm basing it on how they describe themselves. One guy said he was French, Native American, and Russian. And then I also drew them based on what my perception of I thought they looked like based on my own experiences. So, just so you remember, in the ad, I'm conjuring up this image of this blonde, beautiful, chiseled face, yes, perfect, idyllic woman. And they're responding to a relationship dynamic of chivalry, humor, romanticism.
Hi, this is Mark, and I came across your ad this Sunday night, and I am the Walter Raleigh for you. That is my personal opinion. I'm an iron worker by day, and I'm an aspiring scriptwriter by night, and I'm currently finishing up a screenplay and hope to shop it around this spring. What else? Some people say I look like Richard Gere. I don't know. Let you be the judge when you meet me for coffee. And I'm a man about town. By that I mean I work around town with a union, and right now I'm building a building over in the village. And let's get together for coffee. My name is Mark, again, and my number is 416-57. Thank you. Have a good night. Hi, this is Mark again. And you know, I was in my nervousness to exit the call. I realized I didn't give you the reasons why I think I'd make a good Sir Walter Raleigh. Well, I'm loyal, kind, considerate, and I'm capable of love. And I think that's a good start. And the romance of your ad, the idealism of your ad is what attracted me to it. And that's all. Hey, have a nice night. Bye-bye.
My sister gets so upset that I did this project. She feels badly for these guys. So a couple of thoughts, just to show you what was running through my mind. Well, we'll get to that, but anyway. So he starts off by saying he's an iron worker. So you noticed I gave him a big muscular neck because as an iron worker, you most likely have to be pretty strong. Thanks, okay. And then he says he's an aspiring screenwriter. Well, to me, a screenwriter is somebody who probably sits at a computer and eats and doesn't do much exercise. So I gave him a double chin and jowls, and that's what I thought. He says he looks like Richard Gere. It's a little unlikely he looks like Richard Gere, but I did give him Richard Gere's features. So the hair, you guys all noticed, the wavy hair, the thick eyebrows, that nose we all love, and his smile. And then he tells me he works around town with the union. So now I'm sort of thinking a different idea. Okay, union, so I give him the typical haircut. Remember, this is 2000. So that typical haircut that was really like working class New York, which was like the long bangs in the front, a little bit greasy and a little bit long. And then he says, let's get together for coffee. And he tells me his area code is 718. So, year 2000, Brooklyn was not the cool place to live. It was full of working class, middle class, Hasidic Jews, and families who had lived there their whole lives. So now he's told me he's basically come from a working class family, is still working class, and has lived there and probably lives near his family still. And then he hangs up and calls again, because he's so anxious to make me understand that he's he says Sir Walter Raleigh, but we know it means Wesley. And he says, in my nervousness to exit the call, and so I give him upturned eyebrows, and I give him a kinder smile, and he says, I'm loyal, kind, considerate, romantic, and capable of love. All beautiful sentiments. And so I give him worry lines, because I know he's a little bit anxious, and I'm starting to picture him differently. And then he says his very naive, bye-bye. So, in other words, we're all sort of looking at identities and what these mean to one another and why we create identities. These guys have fit their identities to fit my aspiration for a date. So what I'd like for you guys to do is to listen to one and picture in your mind what you think he will look like, and think about the cultural experiences that are informing that, and then I'll show you what I drew. So this is Richard.
Hi, good morning. My name is Richard, and I'm responding to your ad that I read in the paper. I'm a light brown complexion. I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall. I'm employed. 40 years of age. Very outgoing, spontaneous, warm, and hey, I have a lot more to tell you, but the answering service is a bit short, so if you wish to hear some more about myself, you can give me a call at 718-731-77, and I'll be happy to tell you a lot about myself. Hope to hear from you soon. Have a nice day. Bye.
One thing you know about this guy right away is he calls in a lot. He says the voice messaging is pretty short. Okay, so here's how I drew him.
Hi, good morning. My name is Richard, and I'm responding to your ad that I read in the paper. I'm a light brown complexion. I'm 6 feet 2 inches tall. I'm employed. 40 years of age. Very outgoing, spontaneous, warm, and hey, I have a lot more to tell you, but the answering service is a bit short, so if you wish to hear some more about myself, you can give me a call at 718-731-77, and I'll be happy to tell you a lot about myself. Hope to hear from you soon. Have a nice day. Bye.
Is he what you thought he'd look like? No, yeah. We all have our own ideas. Okay, so in this work, there are 4 realities. The first one I create by making my ad based on identity, that's a persona. And the second, by the men, when they call in and describe who they are based on the identity of what I'm looking for. And the third is the way I finally draw them or create them in the computer. And the fourth is the way that you, as viewers, create them in your own mind. Our identities are always shifting. We have an email self, we have a work self, we have a social media self, and we have our self at home. So why do we create these identities? Well, to fit in, to navigate new situations, and to be desirable. And why do we create identities for other people? Well, to categorize them so we can understand how to relate to them or interact with them. Do you think you know who this woman is? Thank you.